Where is the value going to be created in AI?
That's a great one. So I think the at least in my current thing is there are two places where I can say with some confidence. One is the hyperscalers do well, right? Because the fundamental thing is, if you sort of go back to even how Sam and others describe it, I mean, like if, intelligence is log of compute, whoever can do lots of compute is a big winner.
Right.
And the other interesting thing is, if you look at underneath even any AI workload, like take ChatGPT, it's not like everybody's excited about what's happening on the GPU side. It's great, but it's like the ratio, in fact, I think of my fleet even as a ratio of the AI accelerator storage to compute. And at scale, you got to grow it.
Yeah.
And so that infrastructure need for the world is just going to be exponentially growing, right? So in fact, it's manna from heaven to have these AI workloads, because guess what? They're more hungry for more compute, right? Not just for training, but we now know for test time. And as I said, test time, like here's an interesting thing. When you think of an AI agent, it turns out the AI agents is going to exponentially increase compute usage, because you now are not even bound by just one human invoking a program. It's one human invoking programs that invoke lots more programs. And so that's going to create massive demand and scale for compute infrastructure. So our hyperscale business, Azure business, I think that's like, and other hyperscalers, I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Then after that, it becomes a little fuzzy. Because you could sort of say, hey, there is a winner-take-all model. I just don't see it, because this, by the way, is the other thing I've learned, is being very good at understanding what are winner-take-all markets and what are not winner-take-all markets is, in some sense, everything. Like I remember even in the early days when I was getting into Azure, I mean, Amazon had a very significant lead, and people would come to me and investors would come to me and say, oh, it's game over. You'll never make it. It's winner take all. And having competed against Oracle and IBM in client server, I knew that, look, the buyers will not tolerate winner take all, right? Structurally, hyperscale will never be a winner take all because buyers are smart. Consumer market sometimes can be winner take all, but anything there, the buyer is a corporation, an enterprise, an IT department, they will want multiple suppliers. And so you got to be one of the multiple suppliers. And so that, I think, is what will happen even in the model side. So there will be open source. There will be a governor. Just like on Windows, one of the big lessons learned for me was if you have a closed source operating system, there will be a complement to it, which will be open source. And so to some degree, that's a real check on what happens. And so I think in models, there is one dimension of maybe there will be a few closed source. There will definitely be an open source alternative. And the open source alternative will actually make sure that the closed source winner take all is mitigated. So that's kind of at least my feeling on the model side. And by the way, let's not discount, if this thing is really as powerful as people make it out to be, the state is not going to sit around and wait for private companies to go around and all over the world. So it's sort of, I don't see it as a winner take all. Then above that, I think it's going to be the same old stuff, which is in consumer. In some categories, there may be some winner take all network effect, right? After all, ChatGPT is a great example. Like, I mean, it's kind of like it's an at-scale consumer property that is already got real escape velocity, right? I go to the app store and I see, it's always like there in the top 5, and I say, wow, like that's pretty unbelievable. So they were able to use that early advantage and parlay that into an app advantage. And so in consumer, that could happen. In the enterprise, again, I think there will be by category different winners. So that's sort of at least how I analyze it.
I have so many follow-up questions.